Hey everybody, it's Gil here with the Sailing Vessel Dream Chaser, and in this week's video, we're going to take you along to a spot we went to Key West. We stayed at this cool little spot in Cudjoe Key. We spent time swimming at the beach, exploring Key West, seeing some ghosts, and just frankly having an all-around good time. Last week, we shared our plans with you around what we're doing with Sailing Vessel Dream Chaser, our classic 51-foot Formosa cutter-rigged ketch, and how we're going to go ahead and get that sailed across the Gulf of Mexico and the timing of that particular trip. If you didn't see that video, I will put a link to it right up in this upper corner if you're on a mobile device. If you're not on a mobile device, down in the description below, I will put a link to it there. And frankly, since Dream Chaser is not sitting in our backyard right behind our house, it has given me some time, quite frankly. I've not been doing boat projects every moment that I'm not doing regular work of my job. Since I've had some free time, I've been doing some sort of non-sailing channel-related stuff, and I went ahead and created a video series, all about cooking on the Pit Boss Combo pellet smoker and gas grill. If you're interested in that kind of thing in any way, and if you're not, by all means, just pass it on by. But if you're interested in that, I have a playlist, and it's all about the assembly, the first burn-in, and then a bunch of different recipes that we've done. And they've been pretty good, honestly. And this is stuff that, you know, on the boat with your little rail-mounted, Magnum grill, you just don't quite get the ability to do this kind of thing. So it's been kind of fun. If you're interested in it, I'll put a link to it right up here when the other one goes away. And again, if you're not on a mobile device, it'll be in the links, the description down below. So I hope you enjoyed this week's video.
Hey everybody, it's Gil from down in Cudjoe Key, near Key West. Deb and I decided to take the girls for a weekend. The boat's not here yet. We want to be in this kind of beautiful water from time to time, so we hooked up the land yacht and we made the drive over from our house down here to Cudjoe Key. It's about 5.5 hours, probably 5.5, 6 to Key West. That's with stops for gas and everything, so yeah, not too bad at all.
Without the boat at our place in Florida, we decided to load up the camper and come on down to the Keys via land instead of by boat. To sail down here for us, probably, maybe 35-hour trip, 35-hour sail, something like that. But not too shabby right here on Cudjoe Key. Nice morning, sun's just coming up. Very nice.
Yeah, there's even a little store right here that close to us, and then a lot of golf carts kind of coming through here. And I got the land yacht set up right there, which is perfect. And then, like I said, you can kind of see this little saltwater canal. It just dead ends at the end here. So yeah, cool stuff. And it's Key West and the water's pretty darn clear, which is also cool. Maybe I can show you this. I don't know how well it'll come out, but it's about 5 feet or so down to the edge of the concrete wall there, and you can see the bottom very easily. So pretty nice. The place is pretty cool. It's a little place called Venture Out RV condominiums kind of thing. This time of year, it's really tough to find a campsite, especially on short notice. So this is almost like think of it like a condo. People buy these lots, and then this person happened to not be in there, so we were able to rent theirs out for the week. But yeah, really nice, right on this little saltwater canal, and just we're the second to last spot and out into the water. I'll turn the camera around and show that in a second. Pretty nice. So yeah, we're gonna have a good time. We're gonna go. Please take the rocks out of your shoes. We're going to go check out this place called Fort East or something like that. Chastity told us about it. She has wanted to go to this place for a while. There's a haunted doll there, Robert the Doll, and it's haunted, supposedly. So we're going to go to that museum and check it out. She's really excited about that. We're going to go down into Key West. We'll go to Mallory Square, and I'm sure we'll walk up and down Duval Street and check it out during the day, not the mayhem that is at night. I thought we'd take the girls maybe to the Shipwreck Museum. There, up in Marathon, there's a sea turtle rehabilitation place. Maybe we'll have time to check that out. We're definitely going to hit some beaches. We're thinking about a glass bottom boat tour, maybe even fishing. So there's a whole list of stuff for the short 4 or 5 days we're going to be here. But yeah, it's going to be a good time. We're excited about it. Now, if I can just get this one to put her shoes on instead of continuing to fill them with gravel and dump them out as if it's a bucket. So it's still morning time. The sun is up a little bit higher. I'm kind of shooting into the sun here, but kind of cool. There's a boat launch and a little swimming area right there by this gazebo where there's some people over there doing exercises. That's kind of cool. Working out in the gazebo, I guess. Then we've got a guy over here who started up his boat about 45 minutes ago, drove it across the waterway, pulled it back there, and it's been running ever since out in front of his place. Big twin outboards on it, just burning away the fuel. But yeah, pretty cool. So there's nice little area here. Like I said, we'll We are in this campsite. There's one more right next to us there. You see the pylons for the boat at that campsite, and then out we go. I think you did just fine, don't you?
If it floats, it's a boat. We're at the East Martello Museum, and it's an old fort that used to protect Key West, but interestingly enough, there's also a haunted doll here called Robert the Doll that Chaz wanted to see, so we're going to check it out.
So you're about to see Robert the Doll. So legend has it that Robert was made in the likeness of a young boy in the late 1800s named Eugene Roberts. Eugene Robert, and I don't remember his last name. He was completely inseparable with this particular doll as he grew up. When he went off to a boarding school, I think overseas in Paris, if I remember the story correctly, his parents refused to let him take this doll because he was always getting in trouble when he would say, Robert did it, Robert did it. So when he went away to the boarding school, they said, nope, you can't take him with you. They put Robert up in the attic, this doll. And by the way, the little boy went by Gene. His name was Robert Eugene, but he went by Gene. The doll he named Robert. So interesting enough, it had his own name. So the family put it up in the attic. And over the years, in the late 1800s and through the 1900s, people would report that as they walked down the street, they would see Robert the doll up in the windows and turning to look at people passing by. And then as this house sold and there were additional tenants, that doll stayed up in the attic, and all of them reported hauntings in the house, strange things happening. And again, when Gene was a young child, he used to always blame Robert and say, Robert did it. So the legend says along this lines, Robert the Doll is now in a museum, the East Martello Museum, on the eastern side of Key West. And they say if you want a photo with Robert, you should ask his permission. There's a lot of people that have written back to the museum saying they did not ask Robert's permission and they had bad luck, they had whatever issues happened with him. I mean, honestly, I kind of think it's all poppycock, but the legend lives on. And our granddaughter has read about this doll or seen YouTube videos on it now for years. And when we said we were going to Key West, the first thing she said is, I want to go see Robert the Doll. I want to see Robert the Doll. So that's what we did. And in this video, you will see our older granddaughter is not very nervous about it, but the 6-year-old is. So we have her asking permission and reassuring her that nothing bad's going to happen. We asked Robert permission. And after visiting with Robert and seeing it there, she's like, oh, Robert's kind of cute. So hope you guys enjoy this little bit of history here with Robert the Doll, the haunted, legendary doll down in Key West.
I would stand right here in the front and we're going to ask him. Mr. Robert, can I please take? You should probably ask permission to do a video.
I don't think any bad stuff will happen. We asked permission, right? Yeah, we'll be good.
Looks like he's a very nice dog. He's 100. Well, actually,
I think this is an old hearse. Check this out. It looks like there's a spot right inside here to slide a casket in from the back. There's an old safe here. It looks really cool, but man, that is, just give you an idea how thick that is. Solid. This is one of the rafts that Cuban refugees would make their way to Key West on. The sign actually says, please, the last person to leave Cuba, turn off the lights. Pretty wild. Oh yeah? Does it show the size of the cannon compared to the human? Well, this is the battery we just walked down where all of the cannons went out the other side and out over into the Atlantic Ocean. And as we make our way around, this here is the Citadel in the center.
Pretty wild. See all these places to protect the fort in here. This was used during the Civil War. What do you got over there? Oh, did those startle you? They're kind of cool, aren't they? It's artwork. You can get a sense of just what the view is like standing on the roof up here of the Citadel inside of East Martello Fort. Just a beautiful view from all around. So we're on top of the Citadel, and you can see where the old gun turrets used to be. And I suspect they added this little building on here. This just covers over the staircase that goes down, the spiral staircase. But it's kind of wild. You can even see these little tunnels right here. They're probably only 4.5 feet tall, and it goes over to another little lookout area for guns over there. You can also see all the gun turrets right here on the top of the Citadel. Pretty amazing. By the way, the walls are 5 or 6 feet thick on this. We just came down the spiral stairs. I didn't film it because I had a little one and there's no rails. But we're now in the bottom floor of the Citadel. Ooh, you scared me. Pretty wild in here, isn't it? This local artist named Stanley Pappy. He's known as the Junkyard Rebel. You can see the artwork he makes out of metal sculpture. It's pretty cool. Forgive Deb there, she's taking some pictures as well. But they really are cool looking. Look at that.
So after a completely fun day down in Key West, we were sightseeing, went to the museums, we went to the beach. We decided it was time to kind of head back to the camper and just call it a day, relax. And each morning I would go out early in the morning, and I've said before on this channel, like my coffee ritual in the morning is my Zen moment. I grind my own beans with a hand grinder. I boil my water with a gooseneck spout, and I pour it in my coffee, and it's just my time to just reflect, think about things. Like it is really my Zen moment. I don't meditate, but frankly, that's what it does for me. So every morning I would get up early and I would go make my coffee, and I would walk outside and put my little lawn chair right on the dock where we were staying, and I would bait a hook and throw the thing out right in the little canal behind this campsite we were at. And there were little tiny snapper in there. So the cool thing was, if you threw your line out with some shrimp or something on it, you would get a bite almost immediately. It was fun, nothing big, no keepers, but we had a blast. And within minutes, you'd throw it out, hit the water, and you'd get a bite. So Swab even came out still in her nightshirt. Grandpa, where are you? And right away, I had a fish on, so I handed her the rod, and she's reeling it up, right? So she got to catch a fish too, and you'll see a couple of those.
All right, lift up the pole. Can you get it? All right.
Oh my god, dude!
You got one, huh?
You're so heavy.
He's not much, but still fun. Good looking guy.
So after a relaxing morning fishing, we decided to go on to the beach for a little while. We found a nice little beach and got a spot under an umbrella. The girls both got their going in the water gear set up, and we went on down to the water's edge. I must tell you, it was pretty chilly when we first started going into it, but got used to it pretty quick, and I took the girls out a little ways, and the waves weren't real big here because of the reef that's offshore, but we were able to bob around in the water, show them how to jump up and down in the waves as they came in, which they always enjoyed doing, and this was calm enough that I was comfortable with them doing it almost on their own. And while we were out there, we saw the Jolly Roger go by, which is a really cool looking boat as well.
So when we first started talking to the girls about maybe going on a cruise to an island or something like that, immediately McKinley told us, I want to swim with sharks. I want to go in one of those cages that go under the water, and I want to swim with sharks. And at the time, she was 4 and telling us this. And through 5, it still happened. And at 6, it still happened. Well, listen, old Grandpa here, he ain't up for diving down with some sharks with a 6-year-old. That doesn't seem like practical parenting. But it was really kind of cool. She wanted to do it so bad. Well, Deb found a restaurant down in Key West. I think it was called the Stoned Crab, if I remember correctly. And they do shark feedings. They have nurse sharks in the water right near the restaurant, right? So one of these on the water. And they do shark feedings like 3 times a day. And they will let patrons do it if they want to do it as well. So bingo, Deb made the reservations, and we had a reservation. We went out there, and got to let McKinley actually feed sharks, which was really a cool thing. She was so excited about it. I mean, it lasted 35 seconds, right? But not a lot of other people volunteered. She was the first one, by the way, adults and everything else. Who wants to go? I do, and runs right down to the dock. She's ready. So she did it, and then nobody else volunteered right away. She's like, can I do it again? So they did it a second time, and then other people started volunteering too.
Swab has said this whole vacation she wants to feed a shark. Well, here she goes. Actually, she wanted to dive with sharks. She has to settle. I love you.
I love you.
So as I narrate this from my hotel room, I don't remember if it was later this same night or maybe even the next. I kind of lost track. We did a ghost tour. Again, we decided on this vacation that we were going to let the kids pick the things they wanted to do. And Chastity's into hauntings and ghost stories. When we lived in New Orleans, she wanted to do cemetery tours like that. She just finds that really interesting. So remember at the beginning of this video, I talked about doing things that we were thinking of. I thought they would enjoy a glass-bottom boat ride, or maybe a fishing charter, or maybe a turtle sanctuary. Well, we didn't do any of that. We asked the girls what they wanted to do, and these were the things they chose. And it ended up being a really cool vacation, right? Like, they felt like they were really in control of what we did. Deb and I had a great time. It was fun to see them enjoying things so much and work on what the planned activities were. So that night we went on a ghost tour. It started after dark, and part of it was a tour bus, and then we visited a couple of places where we got off the bus and went into a place or whatever. We actually went to the Shipwreck Museum right near Mallory Square. So if you're familiar with Key West, it's in Mallory Square, which is right near the cruise ship terminal. We got out of the bus and we went into there, and they told the whole kind of story. So you'll see our ghost narrator telling us that. And then we actually went back to the East Martello Museum way after dark to see Robert the Doll in a haunted flair, if you will. You know, the bus drops you off and they're like, okay, go on inside here. You go into the fort and they close the doors and like, all right, good luck. And your tour guide leaves. And then another, their old decrepit looking tour guide kind of comes up looking like, a zombie or something. And they take you around and share with you the history about cemeteries and Robert the Doll and how they celebrate their dead in Key West, a lot like they do in New Orleans, where they bury them above ground, have mausoleums. Anyway, the girls absolutely loved it. McKinley, I thought, would be a little bit scared about this. She wasn't at all. She was a trooper. And it's right up Chaz's alley. So I stayed close to McKinley, knowing that Chaz would be all over this, loving it every second of it, and she sure did. It was definitely cool. We'll show you some of that as well.
This is our ghost host with the mostest, and as we drove down the streets, well, it was pretty cool scenery, and, well, hello, Marilyn Monroe. Check that out.
Room, the Marrero Children's Nursery. Often the figure of a woman is seen passing down the...
As we went on the ghost tour, we stopped in the bus right over here, and what I'm calling your attention to is that small door on the far left. This is a bar called The Bull, and above that's called The Whistle. Kind of a cool place. But that door all the way on the far left is actually the rooftop bar, and that is a clothing optional bar.
In January, a huge storm commenced. It engulfed the fleet. That's right, the Maravillas was not alone. In fact, she was at the back of her fleet. Now the wind and the waves created by the storm were so immense that it spun the fleet completely around. The Maravillas was broadsided by the lead of the fleet, the Capitana. Now the two ships hit each other with such tremendous force. The Capitana pierced through the hull of the Maravillas and both of the ships began to sink.
So as we continued on our ghost tour, we went around different parts of the city, and we went right down the main part of Duval Street. You can see some of it right here. And then as the evening wore on, a little further, we went to other parts of town. And I just sort of filmed this, right? It's just kind of cool to see the sights in this area. And then when it ended, McKinley and I decided to go and do this.
Okay, what you got, kiddo? Coconut water? Go ahead.
Right. No.
Do you like it?
It's weird.
Let me try it. It's good, isn't it? It's different.
So when the tour ended, like 10 p.m., we went out to a really nice dinner at this local steak and lobster place right on the waterfront by the marina. And then we decided to go get henna tattoos, the whole family. We each picked one out. Swab got a snake, like a Pokemon sort of style snake on her ankle. Chaz got sort of one of the traditional henna tattoos like you might see in a Middle Eastern or Indian wedding. Really cool decorative one. And then Deb and I decided to get matching anchors. We actually saw a U.S. Marine anchor, but instead of USMC in the middle of it, we asked if they could change it to SVD, so Sailing Vessel Dream Chaser, SVDC. So we got matching anchor tattoos. It was a blast. Like, I mean, you know, come on, what goofy thing to do, right? We went out and had this fun thing at a ghost tour. We had a nice dinner, and then we decided, cool, let's go out at midnight and get henna tattoos, right? The girls had a blast. Like, we got the henna tattoos. What's interesting is it was the exact same little henna tattoo place that my mom and I went to about 5 years ago when her and I took a cruise to the Bahamas for a work trip I won, and Deb couldn't make it. Well, maybe it wasn't 5 years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago. Deb couldn't make it because she was watching the girls, and last minute my mom decided to go. My mom doesn't swim, doesn't like boats, gets motion sickness, and she's like, I'm a trooper, I'm gonna go. So we got to Key West, and my mom wanted to get a tattoo as well. She said when she turned 70, she wanted to get a tattoo, a 3-leaf clover on her back. She's Irish, 3-leaf clover with the initials of me, my sister, and my brother, right, her 3 children. So when we were down there, she did get a henna tattoo of a 3-leaf clover without the initials. And I have to share this because it's kind of cool. I respect the heck out of this. A few months later, about 2 months after she turned 70, she went ahead and got the actual tattoo on her shoulder, right? She went to a real tattoo parlor by where she lives, and she got the tattoo with all of her initials on it. So pretty cool. We ended up having a great time, but frankly, it's late. It's time for us to hit the hay. We enjoy the next part of our trip, which I'll show in next week's video. We actually go to a Coast Guard museum. It's really, really cool. So I hope you enjoyed this week's video, a little peek into a trip to Key West, one that I hope that we do a little bit more frequently. Where we're living now, it's about a 30-hour sail to either Key West or to the Dry Tortugas. So if it's a 30-hour sail there, it's probably, I don't know, let's call it 20, maybe 15-hour sail to like Key Largo, or at least that area on the western side, the Caribbean or the Gulf of Mexico side of the water. So I'm looking forward to having the boat there and making some more of these trips by boat instead of by land yacht. So I hope you enjoyed this week's video. If you did, please, if we earned it, please do us a favor. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. It helps. It sort of tells YouTube, like, yeah, this video was worth watching, and it'll recommend it to other people that are searching for something similar than you did or have interests such as you. So I'd really appreciate that if you did it. And from Gil, and unfortunately, I am out of town on a business trip. You can see my wonderful, hotel room behind me here. But from Deb and the girls, not aboard Sailing Vessel Dream Chaser, but in the house right now for another month or so before we go over there and sail the boat back. We wish you safe sailing, and a following sea. Bye, y'all. We'll see you next week.